Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse. Thank you for joining me today. In this video, we're going to discuss how everything that you know and what you've lived in and the circumstances you grew up in, it's all about to change. There are three main points that I want to drive home today. One is the geopolitical reshuffling that we are in the midst of right now. The second is the aging of the baby boomers and how this is going to fundamentally and potentially catastrophically change not only spending dynamics, the economy in the United States, but also the labor market. And then the third is the rise of artificial intelligence and how this is going to be essentially the next microchip revolution. So the first thing I want to discuss with you is the geopolitical reshuffling. When I'm referring to everything that you know, I'm talking about the last 70-something years of reality that the post-World War II West in the victorious mindset has experienced, and the things that we have taken for granted. Much of our worldview has been influenced by factors that were pre-existent to our birth and that were integral to forming our worldview from the time that we could babble. And so of those worldview givens, the givens that we received as people born in the last 70 years, those included, but we're not limited to, number one, the United States always wins and democracy is always the best. Democracy is always the best choice for everyone worldwide, no matter what. Number two, that the United States is the bearer of responsibility for propping up markets worldwide and for defending and policing the rest of the world to the eventual positive outcome of everyone living in the United States. And the third is that we can trust the people in some way, shape, or form. Trust the people who were elected to serve us in the United States in their path forward to policing the rest of the world and to using the tax dollars of the United States citizenry responsibly. Now, some people would laugh at that last statement, be like, I never believed that. Yeah, you might be in the smart category on the far end of the bell-shaped curve of people who never believe this nonsense. But the fundamental operating assumptions of much of the voting aggregate in the United States has believed at least two of those 3 points. What we are seeing now with Russia asserting itself against Ukraine and with the way that that conflict is unfolding, it is a challenge to that Marshall Plan world order, post-World War II, victorious Western hegemon world order. Regardless of who you're listening to on the what's and the whys and the how, the functional reality is that there is kinesthetic, active, blood, skin, bone-breaking carnage happening between emissaries of Russia and emissaries of Ukraine. There are belligerents in a conflict there. Regardless of what you think caused it or who you think is supporting the regime, the bottom line is this is happening. And because this is happening, it's pulling in a lot of instability and challenging a lot of these things, particularly with NATO, that have allowed this hegemon to exist and perpetuate itself and to keep its own power structure going happily along the train tracks of history. We have now hit a fork in the road. The situation in Ukraine is not going well. The United States effectively has said that it will be limiting the amount of munitions, the amount of essentially war-making machines that it's willing to continue to throw at Ukraine, by the way, via the support of the American taxpayer. This administration has essentially given them the notice that we're not going to continue doing this forever, sending you toil-making instruments and sending you essentially support, relief, and tax dollars. Ukraine is not doing well. The news from the West to continue supporting the idea that Ukraine is doing well focuses oftentimes on body counts incurred by Russian belligerents. That is not, by Russian war-making methods, anything new. That is their standard operating procedure. All I need to do is reference you to Leningrad. Throwing bodies into the war-making meat grinder is what the Russian playbook of warfare is comprised of. They are not afraid of lots of people being used to accomplish whatever the central planning authorities deem necessary. They don't care that they're losing lots of people. So Ukraine does not have in and of itself the ability to withstand this. It is a war of attrition that Russia is waging. This is how they do things. Nothing has changed with them. Unless something drastic changes, I do not believe that Ukraine is going to be victorious in this. When that eventuality happens, if it is to happen, this will signal the green light for major aggressive shifts in power that will cause our ship to totter. We already are not financially solvent, and the rest of the world knows this. We are extremely divided. We have a very, very unhealthily divided populace in the United States. And when I say unhealthily divided, I'm talking about people who just react instead of thoughtfully respond, and who are incapable of digesting rational arguments. The majority of Americans are not capable of doing that anymore. We are not a virtuous and religious people. And John Adams, of course, said that the Constitution is wholly unsuited to anyone but a moral and religious people. You have to have both. And we are not there anymore. So when this turn happens, this is going to signify a massive reshuffling of power, and it's going to happen, and believe you me, both the Russians and the Chinese have figured this out. This is going to happen at exactly the time when the United States' largest aggregate of people as a generation, that is the baby boomers, are transitioning into their least healthful, most resource consumptive, least productive layer of their lifetime experience. The baby boomer population in the United States is getting older. They are getting sicker. They are not consuming as much as far as durable goods. Their needs have changed fundamentally as a result of the age bracket that they now find themselves in. They have been, up until this point, the greatest driver of the world economy, and now they're not consuming anymore. And this creates a situation where the hamster is not running on the wheel anymore to keep money, i.e., dollars, fiat currency, pushing through the economy in the United States, and not only the economy in the United States, but also internationally. So this shift that is happening is going to be happening within probably the next 1 to 3 years, potentially even sooner, because we know that the three major catalysts throughout human history are war, famine, and disease for major turns. We have experienced 2 of these over the past 3 years. So, and you could argue that potentially famine is something that we are already experiencing. Disease we have experienced. War we are currently in. Famine is to some degree either currently being dealt with or will be as a result of the first 2. So the third point that I want to bring into this is actually the rise of artificial intelligence and how this is going to affect the economy and play into the first 2 points that we've mentioned. The reshuffling geopolitically, the massive instability and change in the post-World War II hegemon, the victor hegemon of the United States and the West. The news that has been circulating over the past several weeks has revolved around chatbots and artificial intelligence mechanisms that are simplifying the ability to create ideas. Maybe not create, but coalesce and package. This shift in artificial intelligence that we are seeing, which has so many people, particularly in academia, worried. I mean, how in the world do you send home a writing assignment anymore? You can't, because someone is going to utilize artificial intelligence to spit out a college-level worthy C- paper on the first try, including in technical areas like engineering, math, and science. This is going to alter the needs of the job market dramatically. This is happening right on the heels of the baby boomers moving out and right on the heels of a massive wealth transfer. There are going to be a lot of people within the next 20 years who are going to see their industries phased out. People in jobs that have been involved in information transposition and collation, those jobs are going to be phased out. I submit to you that what we're about to witness is on the same level of the microchip revolution. We are going to be seeing something very akin to the space race ironically, between the United States and the Russians, the former Soviet Union. at the end of World War II and the beginning of the Cold War. Except what we're seeing now is that whereas it was the space race, now it's artificial intelligence being used by different large corporations to further capitalize on the human beings who are using their services and try and provide a product. The issue is to what end? This has always been the challenge with technology, the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge tells us what we can do. Wisdom tells us what we should do. Which, I ask you, of those two areas is more scarce throughout human history? Not knowledge, wisdom. So what I anticipate over the next few years is a rapid transformation. Something that probably very few of us can wrap our minds around. I don't know what this is going to look like. I don't know. I do know that in times of uncertainty, being able to meet your basic needs without having to go hat in hand begging for someone to help you or begging for some potentially weaponized governmental institutions to have mercy on you and your family and meet your needs just because you show up and ask very nicely and have complied with all of their dictates. Being a good party member, it's much better for us if we can meet our needs in complete devoid of contact from them. People get in power in governments usually not because they are beneficent. They rise to power because they are ruthless, because they are brutal, because they have no compunction about violating moral standards that are held by about 95% of other people in this world. And they're willing to do what needs doing in order to get to those rings of power. And they are not likely to let go of it fast. So we are best suited in a world changing like this to meet our basic needs. Beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. I've spoken about this at length. But in particular, when it comes to taking care of our health needs, it is vitally important that you have functional knowledge, developed skills, and Lord willing, wisdom with how to apply those. That comes through practice, that comes through learning, that comes through dedication. So I want to encourage you as you're preparing, whether it's storing up food, being involved in the production of your own food, growing your own food, being capable in self-defense, storing up the bullets, so to speak, but also focusing on the Band-Aids. It is important that you are skilled in caring for your family members. And as we have established, this group, the largest group, the baby boomers that are making up our population in the United States, they're getting older. They're getting sicker. They're going to need care. And fortunately, that care is less and less available for a variety of different reasons. In the days to come, it is going to behoove you, in order to be prepared, to have functional competency when it comes to managing your family's healthcare needs at home. If you'd like to train with me, I have an online course. It's 4 hours. It's $129. You can find that link below. I also teach courses and training classes live throughout the year. Knoxville, Tennessee is in April. Keller, Texas is in May. I think I'm going to Orem, Utah in June. And then the schedule you can find at the website below. I will not be going all over the country. I'm going to basically like 3-4 places this year, keeping it very condensed. So if you would like to train with me, those are options there. But I encourage you, please seek out alternative sources, herbal means for learning and being able to prepare yourself. Being dependent upon conventionally available pharmaceutical-driven product lines is a recipe for disaster, as we have seen. Furthermore, if you know that there are certain entities and large corporations who are vehemently and adamantly opposed to your own morality and your own principles, anything that you can do, that we can do to unhook from dependence upon them is going to situate us in a better path for freedom. I hope the video was helpful for y'all. Recapping on everything, we are about to see major geopolitical shifts. We are also about to see drastic changes in the way that our population consumes and produces, and we are going to see probably a completely unknown level of J-curve change with the advent of widely adopted artificial intelligence. So it behooves us to be prepared and also to hold on fast and firm to our faith on the immutable, unchanging word of God that has not shifted and that has not moved. There are certain principles that we do not give on, we can never give on. And for those of us who cleave fast to our faith and who are bitterly clinging to our Bibles and our religion and our guns. I don't anticipate giving up on that anytime soon. We can be prepared and know that if our faith is built on a firm foundation, we can ride out any storm that comes across our path. I hope the video was helpful for y'all. I hope it blessed you. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.